RGC Podcast.
Good morning, Rio Grande City. My name is Becky Rubio.
And I'm Melinda Gomez.
And we are here with our Rio Grande City podcast, and we are sitting with Miss Norma Fultz, our Rio Grande City Public Library Director. Hello, good morning, Miss Norma.
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Welcome. So, you're officially our second guest here at the podcast, and we definitely wanted to bring you on this week because we're celebrating National Library Week. So that's always a fun. My mom used to be a librarian, and I grew up loving and reading books. So I definitely have a lot of love for librarians and libraries, and so we just kind of wanted to bring you in and talk about your love for libraries and how you kind of got started here in the Rio Grande City Public Library.
Okay, well, I started in 1990. There was a group of people that moved into Rio Grande City and discovered that we didn't have a public library. And they band together and started asking questions. And at the time, they went to our county commissioner and asked, why didn't Rio Grande City have a public library? And one of them was Mrs. Stella Hernandez. And she was a teacher. So her kids, her sixth grade kids, started making car washes and fundraisers and started really raising money to start a library. And then they formed a committee, and they started a Friends of the Library, which is our nonprofit.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
And then after that, Maria Olivia Garza, the Nena, became president of the Friends. And they, again, raised more money. They started asking how they could become a legitimate library, and went to, at the time, was South Texas Library System, and they guided them through the process. And they received a 3-year establishment grant. So that's how we started the library. And then the library officially started in August of 1990, and I started in September of 1990.
Oh, wow. So it was right off the bat.
I was the assistant library director at the time.
Okay. Who was the first library director?
His name was Christopher Kishman. He was from Edinburgh, and he was here a year and left. And then, so I continued on. And we also, during that time, established a library in La Rosita, and Roma, and La Grulla. And La Rosita and Roma are still going, so very proud of that.
Excellent. Okay.
Well, throughout the years, we started in a little, well, first, let me tell you, we started in a little room that was less than 1,000 square feet. And it was in a building called San Juan Plaza, which no longer exists. But if you're from Rio Grande City, you know where that's at. And then from when we were there, Mr. Pedro Diaz donated his building, which is one of the first grocery stores in Rio Grande City, to the city for a library.
And that's where you're
our
at
current
right
location.
Now.
Correct.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And then, so the city eventually got funds to fix the building. It was good that it was a grocery store, so we didn't have to tear down walls or anything, just kind of fix a few things. And through the empowerment zone, they got some funding to finish up the building. So in 2004, the city and the county entered into an agreement because they felt that, the Rio Grande City is too small to have 2 public libraries. So the county essentially passed over the staff, the books, some of the equipment to the city, the collection. And then in 2005, we officially became Rio Grande City Public Library.
So in 2005 is when you officially, okay.
And when we started, there was only enough money in the budget for one employee, which was myself. And at the time, Starr County Commissioner Abel Gonzalez continued to pay staff through his budget, through the county budget, to work in the city library, which was Letty, my assistant, and we had one other person. So Letty started working in the city library long before she became a city employee.
Wow. And so, for nothing, you all have, created this huge, well, I know we're still in the same building, but this huge movement. You have classes. You've been recognized statewide, and I think nationally.
We're in the yes, we're in a group. You know, people ask us that very often, like, you know, you all do so much. Well, it's not that we didn't have the ideas or the know-how. We just didn't have the staff
Right.
in the beginning, nor did we have the budget. But mainly we didn't have the space. So once we had the space, that really opened up a lot of projects for us. And then, I mean, our main goal is to promote literacy. And so we're constantly thinking of better ways to promote literacy. We want to give our community the right tools to succeed, whether it's that they're looking for a job. You know, we partner with EDC and Workforce Solutions, and to have a job fair at least once a year. We also partner with UTRGV Small Business Development Center to help small business owners. We conduct ESL classes at the library, and everything we do is free for the community.
Mhm.
We have computers that are free for computer. Community. We have some computers from Workforce Solutions that have different icons to make it easy for our patrons that are looking for a job, or you know, maybe they need to, you know, do some work there. Those computers are available for everybody, but we're, you know, try to make sure that job seekers go there first.
Right. On average, how many people do you get in the library per week?
Per week, we average 1,000. You know, sometimes less, sometimes more. I'm sorry. A month is we average I believed early on that the only way that we could be successful is through partnerships, and so that's why partners like, you know, EDC, Workforce Solutions, the UTRGV, AgriLife. We do many things with Texas A&M AgriLife. We have a community garden with them. We've got some classes nutrition classes they come to the library to host. We do a lot of things with SCAN. We're doing craft classes. Of course, we have story time, and we used to have toddler time. We've scaled back since COVID, but we do have these partnerships help us offer more programs, and again, everything is free. Then we also wanted to promote our arts and culture. We're always looking for ways to get people into the library, because I always think that once we get them into the library, then, you know, they might see a book that they need. That'll give us an opportunity to tell them about the library programs and events that we have, and, you know, hopefully get them signed up for library cards, and, you know, let them know about some of the events that we have. For example, the Art Walk. One of my friends is director in Edinburgh, and she was telling me a few years back, she was, do you know that we have groups that come in from Rio Grande City all the way to Edinburgh, because they say they don't have a venue in Rio Grande City. And so, you know, we quickly worked to change that. So we've had a lot of artists, performers coming through, participating in our art walks. And most recently, we connected with the school district and had some poetry slams.
And how did that go? Like, what was your participation, or how many people participated in the event?
We had about 12, 15 people that got up to share poetry.
I was at that event, and it was a really good turnout. Like, not just in the people that were showing their art or even just speaking their art, but the attendance, the people that showed up to watch and like be a part of it. It was a really good event. I'm excited for the next one.
And when will be the next one?
May the 4th.
May 4th.
Here at the Lopez Tijerina courtyard.
And will that be also like a poetry slam, or
poetry will be part of it? Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And anybody's welcome to join.
Yes.
So they could. I think there was people reading their original work. Yes. And then people reading just some things that inspired them or impacted their life. It was really nice. It was really, really good. And
for the artists, it's pretty much the only ones we have them pre-registered, just so that we're sure that we have enough space for everyone. Right. But people that want to recite their poems, you know, can just show up. It's an open mic.
So, out of the time that you've been the librarian here, what has been what is one of your favorite things that's happened?
One of my favorite things is the Rio Grande Herald is a newspaper that we all grew up with, and in 2010 they shut down, And the editor at the time brought us all the paper copies that they had in the office, which was from 1972 to April 2010, with gaps in between. But when I got those newspapers, some of them were so fragile and yellowing and cracking. And so I quickly started asking questions to see how we could save those newspapers. And through my librarian friends, Georgia, Virginia Goss, who at the time were at UTRGV, they helped me connect with the Portals of Texas History, and that's sponsored by the University of North Texas. And we just started working together and trying to see how much it would cost, and it was cost quite a bit.
Right.
So first we had to get the newspapers microfilmed. And so I was excited. I thought, I know exactly how many papers we have. We have 42 years of newspapers, but it wasn't that. We had to know how many pages per issue so they could give us an accurate quote. So with the city budget, I was able to do that. But then to get from that point to get it digitized was like over 40,000. That we didn't have. So I asked anybody and everybody who would listen to me that they needed, some funding for this. Good luck with that. Sounds like a great project. Let us know how that turns out.
Yeah.
But I had a very good relationship with the UNT staff, the Portal of Texas History, and then they had applied for a big rescuing newspaper grants, and they didn't use all their money. So they said, we think we found a way to fund the Rio Grande City Herald, and they did.
That's incredible.
And so, at the time, it was, so don't get your hopes up because there's other people going to be, fighting for their pet projects, but we were able to get it funded. So the Portals of Texas History, if you ever have a chance to get on there, they have old maps and photographs and yearbooks from like the 1400s, 1500s. Wow. There's from throughout the state of Texas. So there's universities, there's catalogs, there's all kinds of things. And now the Rio Grande Herald is part of that.
That's cool. Yeah. I know I'm not from here. So when I started working with the city, I had to do some research and learning and just the history in general. Yeah. And then there would be some projects that would come up and it would be like, you need to do a write-up about so-and-so or this place or this building. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like, okay, I'm not from here. Yeah. I don't know, So that is one of the resources that I had tapped into. Mm-hmm. There would be, I can't even necessarily bring up a specific, no, I take it back. The memorial for the fallen heroes here. I was looking for even though they are listed on the slab, I was asked just to confirm that nobody went missing. So I had to go back and I found an article written when they had erected that. And in that article, it had listed, all the names. So I just verified the names. It's like, yes, everything, matches and it's what's it's supposed to be. So, and that was just only one instance. So that's, something that is out there and available for those that need to go back and research something that, the history of Rio Grande City.
Right. We, the Rio Grande Herald started, I believe, in the 30s and the 40s, but unfortunately those papers weren't saved. So I'm very proud of the papers we were able to save because my granddaughter can follow her grandma, through going to high school. And then my college yearbooks are there. I wrote for the college paper. Those articles are there. Mm-hmm. So she can kind of follow her Nana for a good while.
That's awesome. And that's so important to have a line through history, to see, especially for our kids today, high school kids, nowadays may not even know certain things about Rio Grande City, and they can just access it, especially on the internet. If it's on the internet, they'll be able to access it. Mm-hmm. So that's so important. That's a really cool thing that you did. That's a really cool initiative.
Actually, another one that I'm really proud of, and it's not officially kicked off. I mean, we did the pilot program for the story walks. I think
Mhm.
that is just so important and so really cool. I again, I talked about my granddaughter, but when we did the pilot program, Farah took me, then went for a walk. So the story walk is you have a children's book,
Mhm.
and so you have 2 pages of a book on a stand, and you walk 20, 30 steps, and you read the following 2 pages until you finish the book. So before you know it, you have walked with your child or your family, whoever's with you, for about a good 20, 30 minutes.
Awesome.
And so the first time that she went, she was just so excited that she took me, then she took her daddy, then she took her uncle, then she took her aunt. And everybody went through, because the kids, it's fun for them, and at the same time they're exercising. So through AgriLife, through a WOWI program, and they received a CDC grant, and now we're going to be having permanent stands at the Basilio Varial Park and at the Miriam Vale Park. So we're working with our Parks and Rec, and they'll be having those out here real soon. And in addition to that, we're going to be having some traveling exhibits. So if any school, their children's books, if any school or daycare would like to borrow the traveling exhibit, then we have a memorandum of agreement that they would have to sign off on, and then we'll have different stories that they can have at their school.
That's awesome. And how long would they be able to have them for?
Right now, we're working on a two weeks, but it's flexible if they needed it longer. But I think since it's the same story, there should be enough time.
Yeah, for sure. That could be even an interesting way to, go through a book, get exercise when the weather's nice. Like today's the weather is really nice. And then maybe even have a challenge, get other teachers out there to stand at all the stations or something, like anything to make it fun. The kids will love it. Right. And then they don't even realize that they're learning at the same time.
Right.
Or exercising.
And practicing reading.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. So we also start with we do books for babies too. It's not with the Stark County Hospital. It's kind of like while supplies last, but we do have a partnership with United Way. They give us funding, and one of the programs that they support is the books for babies. And then we also have every year, like every public library in the state or in the nation, actually, we have summer reading programs. And so ours officially starts June 2nd. We'll kick off with a Fun Friday, and then that reminds me, that's something new that we started to a few years back, having a Fun Friday program, just one program, usually at 10 in the morning. And depending on who we have, it'll either be at the library or at the Varial Park. And we've had magicians, we've had authors, we've had ventriloquists, contortionists, because that's what we want to do too is offer a neat program to our community that they might not be able to go to.
Right.
We've had the Lippin Apache Indian dancers. That was so educational and so much fun. So we try to bring in different experiences that our community can share.
So who do you have lined up for this year?
Right now, we haven't finalized, we're working on some things, but I believe we are going to have some authors, and we're going to have a magician coming in as well. And then there's one other one that can't quite tell you yet.
Tell us, you want to know.
But once we get the confirmation, y'all will be the first to know.
Are you going to bring the zoo back? Last year, I think I went to almost all of them, and the one that I was really, really, really excited for was the zoo, and that was the one that I missed. So
yeah, definitely something we could talk to them about. Yes, because it was a lot of fun. Yeah. We've had different park rangers and stuff come. We've had the birding center. They brought in some really cool things. We had Dinosaur George. He brought these huge fossils in, so the kids were just so excited about that. And the interesting thing is that it's not just the kids. We've had parents and grandparents tell us that they learned so much, from them, from these programs as well. So it is exciting.
Mm-hmm. That sounds fun.
That is fun. And you had also Medina Electric?
Yes, we had Medina Electric. They did an awesome safety presentation. Yeah. Yes. We had our fire department and they did. The kids had so much fun in that event too. Yes.
It was fun. Yeah. That Medina Electric one, they had their whole little setup, and they were showing different like electric.
Just like online safety.
Yeah, yeah, and it was really really cool.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, okay, and informative. Like you learn, and
Mhm.
you're like, okay, good to know.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just for kids; it's
Right.
for everybody,
Right.
and everybody's welcome.
And that's what our Fun Fridays for. I mean, and we're free family fun events. That's what we do. That's what we want to continue to do.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, what kind of programs do you have for adults? Like,
What right now we have like crafts. We have craft class. We have nutrition class. So we have a series called Health Happens in Libraries, and so we're currently alternating between the craft and the health classes. But we'll bring in different presenters. We've had the Wesley nurse and counselor come in to do presentations. Nuestra Clínica del Valle has come in. We've had different scan has come in. So we try to bring in, we assist them, but we try to have somebody else do the programs. And then some we do ourselves. But sometimes we just get so busy because at the library, we not only have these programs, we also offer, faxes and copies and that we have wireless printing that gets used a lot. And I'm real glad that we offer that because especially during the COVID, that we still were able to offer curbside because if you have something on your phone or your laptop, or maybe you ran out of ink in your home computer and you really needed to print something, if you go to our website, you just can send, there's a code. I'm sorry, there's an email address that you just need to send your documents to, and you will receive a 6-digit code, and then you can come pick up your documents whenever you're ready, 25 cents a page. But during that time that we were closed, we were still able to offer curbside and give our patrons the information they needed. And now it's really being used. People just already automatically come in just with their 6-digit code, and we get their copies. So, sometimes you have photos in your phone, and we don't do anything with them, right?
Yeah.
And there's people that like to print them out, so we have that. So excited about that too.
And to do that, you need a library card, right?
You don't need a library card to get prints or to get copies.
Oh, wow.
No.
Okay.
So your library card, though, we've added a lot of online resources. So if you go to our website, www.rgclibrary.com or .org, if you go to our digital resources, there's a wealth of information there and databases that you can use for free. There's movies for children and adults, mostly educational, but they're really fun movies out there. And we have, if you want to learn a language, there's over 72 different languages that you can learn from with Mango Languages. Then we have what's called Universal Class. That has like over 600 online different classes that you can get on anything from gardening to how to be an accountant, how to become a realtor. And they're all free and they're self-paced. So you start and go at your own pace. So if this month you had time to do, 2 or 3 hours and you can't get back into it until May, that's okay because you're going to start where you left off. And they're free. And if you want to, you can get CEU hours, but you'd have to take a little test. But if you just want to do it to learn, maybe you want to learn how to do cake decorating or how to make a candle or, you can. I mean, over 600 classes.
Yeah.
There's bound to be something that you're going to like.
You'll find something. And you can access that with a free library card.
That's right.
Yeah. We like to emphasize the free part.
Yes.
For
Free is good.
Free is good. It doesn't even take that long. It took me I think less than 5 minutes. I went to go get my library card. Do you have access to online books to rent out?
So we have through the app is called Libby through Overdrive. I mean, we're part of a consortium. So there's literally thousands of books, online books, audiobooks, and I believe it's over 3,000 online magazines. If you want to check out, Texas Monthly or Newsweek, and you don't want to have to go buy it, oftentimes it's online before it hits the newsstands. So you can read it, maybe you're getting an oil change, maybe you're waiting on a doctor visit, and you have, time to kill. That's we're paying for it. It's free for you. Take advantage.
And so, like, how would someone go about doing that? Do you have to download an app?
Yes, but my staff would help you walk you through it, and sometimes people, you could do it through the phone. We could do it in person, but yes.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
That is awesome.
I just went to Texas Library Association conference,
Okay.
and our guest speaker was Deborah Roberts, and she just wrote a really cool book of in an interview like different people
Mm-hmm.
on like growing up. But what started her book was she said she started talking about who her favorite teacher was, and just going back, on memory lane, and just started asking different people. And before you knew it, she had enough stories to compile a book, and she had all these different people on there. That it just sounds so interesting. I wanted to get her book right then and there, but I didn't have a chance.
So, what's your favorite book?
I think really that once I read this one, this is gonna be my favorite.
What's your favorite book, Becky?
I honestly don't know. I love to read. I like to read a bunch of different things. I stick to mainly fictional books.
Okay.
Sometimes a little bit of fantasy. I'm very into Harry Potter. I read it when I was young, and now I'm rereading it again as I'm an adult. And I'm kind of wanting to do. I started reading it with an audiobook, and that really changed the game. Like, I'm liking listening and like following along. I don't know. I feel like because I get to hear it. I'm getting more from it. So it's really cool that audiobooks are offered. Like, that's something that I feel like there's so many people that say that they don't like to read or they hate reading, but maybe this is something that can get you into the books more. Like,
I've tried to do that too, listening to some books on my trips and stuff. But this book by Deborah Roberts is Lessons Learned and Cherished, and the teacher who changed my life. And she had different people, like from Oprah to Brooke Shields, Robin Roberts, Rachel Ray. She said some are famous, some aren't as famous, but it just seemed like such a cool book. I can't wait to read that one. Since my job is constantly reading, I kind of do like to order a book. We don't just pick a book. You have to read the library journal. You have to use some other tools to help you decide on what book you're going to be select. And then it's also knowing your audience, right? So I have to know enough of, okay, they're checking out more mystery books, or people are checking out more romance books, and then so we can try to. Sometimes it's a guessing game, because sometimes there's a book that you really think, oh my gosh, people are gonna. There's going to be a line on this book. And then I find out a month or two later, 0 circulations. And the book that I thought was okay has, 15, 20 checkouts. So
oh my goodness.
you just don't know. But it's our job to kind of know.
To kind of follow. What's your favorite book?
My favorite book? I used to be an avid reader. Recently, though, I kind of stopped. Not necessarily altogether, but I want to say Howl's Moving Castle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I know there's a movie, a Japanese adaptation movie made out of it, but I'm forgetting the author's name right now off the top of my head, but I believe she's from the UK. And she actually has some other books that she's written, but that one's been my favorite so far. So, and I tend also to lean towards fictional and a bit fantasy. Grew up reading fairy tales.
Me too.
My grandmother was a teacher, so she retired, so she had a collection of just textbooks. Old textbooks. I mean, some textbooks from like the 20s and stuff. So, like, a lot of them, elementary textbooks and everything, but a lot of them were were fairy tales or little fables or
Yeah.
stuff like that. So I grew up reading stuff like that. So, of course, when Harry Potter came out, like you mentioned, and Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, and just some other ones. And then there were some that we had to read for class that I remember. I remember one we had to read for our freshman year. It was, and I'm forgetting the author's name, but it was A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. And that one really, I remember that one out of a lot of the other ones. I remember that one. Yeah, so.
It reminds me of one of the ones I had to read too. It was Great Expectations.
Oh,
and now there's a show out.
I actually didn't really like that book.
I know, it was kind of hard to get through it, but yeah. Well, I guess, and that's the magic of reading too. Like some you like and some you can't. You still turn the page.
Oh my gosh, there was one book that I could not. I had a hard time getting through. 1984.
Oh yeah, that's a hard book. That's a hard book.
And not necessarily like hard to read or hard to. It was just the subject matter was just very hard. You have this dystopian totalitarian society that it's describing, and it kind of just frustrates you and makes you mad, and that's what I mean. Like, it was just hard to get through.
I still love to read like Sidney Sheldon. I love mystery. I
think I've read one Agatha Christie.
Ever like John Grisham, he still has books out. Those are some of my favorite.
I think a couple years ago there was a movie that was based off an Agatha Christie novel.
Death on the Nile. There's several of them.
Yeah, Death on the Nile. And it was like gonna happen. It was like being promoted during the time of COVID, and at that time I was still a teacher at the high school, and I was teaching audio video production. But how do you teach that online? So I kind of went and I was like, let's just read, and I'm gonna try to find something interesting. So because they were making a movie out of this book, I got this book. I bought the audiobook so we can go through it in class. Online, and the project was I had the kids, based off of what we were reading, create a script or create a storyboard of how they thought it was going to be, so that they can maybe later see the movie, or I can play the movie for them and see how it progressed or what things changed, things like that, to kind of bring it back to the AV production part of it. And the kids got into the book. Yeah, they liked it. It was because it was just we're just reading it, okay? We don't have to analyze anything. We don't really have to. I'm not going to be asking you questions based off of it, but I want you to listen. I want you to create something based off of what we're hearing. And so the kids got into the project. It was a really cool project, but I think there's so many ways that just reading a book can be incorporated into anything. Any lesson, maybe except for math, but any subject, can incorporate reading in some way, shape, or form. You never know what's going to happen. And you said Agatha Christie, so that's what kind of reminded me of that.
It reminded me of teens. We're also always looking for projects that we could do with teens. We were selected to be in one of the 8 libraries in a IMLS-funded Institute of Museum and Library Services project, and it was working with teens. And as a result of that, we're gonna work on a escape room.
Okay.
So we're in the planning stages, but that is something that we'll be doing here soon. Hopefully, we can get it done this summer. If not, while the kids are out, and they
that sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah. That sounds like a lot of fun. Because you have to come up with the different little puzzles and stuff like that. Something else that might be fun, like a murder mystery party type of thing. Yeah,
it is something we've been thinking about as well. Yes, I think it would be a lot of fun. Yes.
Is that the Fun Friday surprise?
Well.
Did you figure it out?
That was good. anything else that you want to? Is there anything you specifically want to talk about, like in this capacity? Because we don't know how many listeners we have up to this point. Hopefully we have a few. But is there anything you'd like to talk about specifically, push out there?
So I would like to encourage people to come stop by and visit the library. We also have a 3D printer that we got a few years past with a grant as well. And it's free. I mean, we can give a free demonstration to the community, and depending on what they want to do, we do have a small fee if they want a little larger item. But if it's something small, we can gift it to them. But at the same time, the kids can learn about it. And it's not just the kids, adults. We've had college kids come to use it as well. And with our guidance, we have to be there, of course. Helping out. And so excited about that. We continue to try to bring new ideas, new programs. Like I said, our summer reading program is happening soon. And right now it's National Library Week. Tomorrow, Tuesday, just happens to be National Library Workers' Day.
Okay. We write that down real quick.
So, this is our time in all public libraries in the nation to, let the community come and visit. Of course, we want them to visit us year round, but this kind of gives us an excuse to come and visit. And then this year, just happens that our Dia del Niño will be during National Library Week. Hoping the weather will be good.
Yeah.
I hope so too. That's a fun event. You get a lot of people out there. Awesome. Go to the library. Visit the library. There's so many things you can do. So many different programs. Get your library card. It's completely free, and it's the key to opening up so many different doors of.
And I think that slowly our numbers, our visitors are going up. Before COVID, we were averaging between 2,000 and 3,000 people visiting our library, and right now we're averaging 1,500 a month. So we're not quite there, but we have noticed an increase in our online programs. Okay. So in our online services. So I think at the end it balances it out.
Right. Yeah. That's awesome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. We'll bring you back on whenever we find out the surprise. This podcast is an initiative of the City of Rio Grande City and the Rio Grande City EDC. If you would like to know more about certain topics pertaining to the municipality or have an idea for an upcoming podcast, email mgomez@rgcedc.com or brubio@cityofrgc.com.